from E3, and I am Second. So if you guys would like to just sit down and enjoy this amazing message.
All right. So God had me to, my name is Tanya, and I'm the director for I Am Second Canada. Whenever I say that, my mind is always blown that thankful he equips the called. So I'm going to start off this with a little bit of a story and then go into our message. So, all right. God, we just thank you for this beautiful fellowship. We thank you for the space that they have given us and given you. And we just thank you for what you're about to do. Amen. All right. So she woke up and she was getting ready for work. And once again, she felt like she had nothing to offer this world, and this world had nothing to offer her. She was at a place where she just didn't want to go on anymore, but she knew she needed to get up and go to work, so she did. This girl worked at a eyebrow place, hair place, and as she was working, feeling all sorts of despair upon her, kind of making some plans for the end of her shift, this woman walks into the store, and she recognizes there's something different about this lady. And as she does her eyebrows, this lady starts sharing some things that start stirring up her heart. And all of a sudden, she notices that this hope starts to rise within her. And this woman ends up asking to meet with her after work because she can see that God started stirring inside and that she should meet with her. And so the next day, they went out for coffee. And when they went out for coffee, the girl's like, hey, how did you know to say those things to me? And I'm thankful to say I got to be the lady to share Jesus with her. And God just started raising a hope. I journeyed with this girl for 2 years as she let me. So we'd meet for coffee sometimes, multiple times in a month, or didn't see or hear from her for months, praying that she was okay. And she ended up coming to a heart healing and trauma training that we do. Because we're a ministry that's all about raising up healthy disciples that multiply healthy disciples. So we don't just train people up on how to evangelize. Here's some Jesus, here's some hope, and then, okay, see you later, I'm going to go to the next person, right? So there are times that, God, he does his thing. Sometimes we share, and they're like, no, thank you, and then we just pray for them, and we carry on, right? Sometimes we equip you to, and God calls you to be brave and share with the girl at the coffee store, or the girl at the restaurant, your waitress, or this girl at the eyebrow place that I got my eyebrows done. And 2 years later, she ended up giving her heart to Jesus. And so we don't know what our ministry and evangelism is going to look like. We just know that God's placed you where he's placed you on purpose, okay? So we are all about coming, training, equipping, and helping you to identify the place in which God has called you to shine, to be you, right? Perhaps this girl walking alongside her didn't mean I had to make extra time to go for coffee. I was like, Lord, I don't have time. I just became this director of this ministry. And God's like I just felt in my heart, he's like, but you got to go grocery shopping, and you got to cook dinners. So why don't you just invite her to come with you? And little did I know that also helped her mental health because she was buying stuff she shouldn't be buying. I am buying groceries for my family, pointing out like, oh yeah, we're not going to, she's like, how about this? I'm like, well, actually, this has this in it. It actually causes this, And it was causing some of the emotions she was having. And so she was like, ooh, I didn't know that. So the way in which God's calling you to walk alongside people, we don't know. We're here to help equip you and to help you to be a healthy disciple that multiply healthy disciples in the way in which God's called you to do it. So Shawn, I am pleased, my brother in Christ, I get to journey with him and walk alongside him. And that was what I felt my role was as the director of this ministry, was to help Shawn, lift him up, pour into him, support him. Not that he needed a lot of it. He shines for Jesus everywhere he goes. And so I am so excited for him to come and shine in the way that God's equipped him and called him to inspire you guys and start a stirring in your heart to just be like, oh, I have so much of Jesus, I just can't help but to share him with others. So thanks again for having us. And Shawn, it's your floor.
Church, thank you so much. What an honor to be here. Wow, your worship team was just on fire. I almost got all Pentecostal on you guys there. I was almost ready to start jumping on the chairs. That was so good. But it's such a good thing when a worship team helps you enter into God's presence, and I felt like that's what they did. So thank you so much for doing that. My name is Shawn Jones. If you haven't met me before, I have a strange accent. Quickly, a shout out. Where am I from? Come on. Yes, praise Jesus. I can tell this church is going to be close to my heart. People always say Australia, and it's not that Australia is offensive to me. It's just that we're big rivals, right? We're big rugby and cricket rivals, and we kick their butts in rugby, but they kind of beat us all the time in cricket. So, we've got to get one up on them wherever we can. But thank you so much again, guys, for having us. We're so excited to be here. I'm so excited to see so many smiles in the congregation after last night's Game 7. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. What is it with Toronto and sports teams in Game 7s? Like, I moved here in 2013 with my family, and a little bit of history about me. I am a former semi-pro rugby player. I'm a huge sports nut. I played every sport you can think of except synchronized swimming. But it's exactly. It's like watching paint dry at the Olympics. What are they doing? Anyway, not to bash on the synchronized swimmers. That's just something I didn't do. But I played so many different sports growing up. So when I moved to Toronto, I was worried. I was like, man, they're not really into rugby in Canada. So I'm going to have to embrace whatever sport they're into. So I remember the very first day in Canada, staying in the hotel, flipping through the channels, looking for the sports channels to see what kind of sports they had. And I stumbled on a Toronto Maple Leafs preseason game. They were playing against Buffalo. And I'll be honest, guys, I was about 10 minutes in, and I wasn't into it. I couldn't understand the rules, something about icing, and they can't, like, what is offside? Like, offside's different than soccer or rugby. Like, I was totally confused. And then something happened that just rocked my world. John Scott, this massive giant, and Phil Kessel got into a fight on the ice. Phil was hacking his ankles with a hockey stick, and then John was trying to grab him, like, to murder this tiny little guy. And then everyone on the ice just grabbed the dance partner, and even the goalies came and had a fight. And I was just looking at this, wow, that's passion, man. We're good at winning fights, but don't put us in Game 7s, man. I don't know what it is. I feel like OHEP should include some kind of therapy for Canadians, right? For Game 7s. But anyway, let's get into this. A little bit about myself. So I'm from South Africa, born and raised in South Africa. Sometimes people are like, oh, you went to South Africa. No, I was born in South Africa, and I was raised there. And spent all my life there, found Jesus in South Africa, believe it or not, he is there, and went on this crazy journey. Now, the enemy tried to destroy me from an early age because I believe he knew that God was going to use me for something special in my life if I was open to it, right? If I embraced the journey, if I accepted, the full freedom that he offers me in a relationship with him. And it was a crazy journey. It was a rocky ride. I had a terrible childhood as a kid growing up. We grew up. My father was a mechanic, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And in the mechanic lifestyle, my dad was into race cars as well. Just lived a life of brokenness, right? They struggled with alcohol addictions, both my parents. And before I turned 10 years old, they got divorced. And both parents remarried, got into more broken relationships, and just as a kid growing up in South Africa, I never found peace and joy in my childhood. And I kind of carried that into adulthood, feeling like I got to get something good out of this life, and I got to put me first. I have to be the one that makes the most of my life, because if I don't do it, my parents haven't set me up. They haven't painted a good example for me. Like, it was all about me. And I channeled my God-given talent and size through rugby. And I realized, man, rugby is the greatest sport ever, because being 6'6", and at the time, 245 pounds, give or take a couple, I was a wrecking machine on the rugby field, right? And I just enjoyed that. I was like, okay, this is good therapy for a frustrated, angry kid. I get to go on a rugby field and crush people for a living. I was sort of the enforcer role, right? Similar to hockey. So I'd be the guy stirring up the fights. I'd be the guy looking for cheap shots and opportunities to inflict dominance on my team. And I was really good at it. So good, in fact, that I got noticed by a scout and invited for the pro team tryouts. And I got to tell you guys, I was well on my way, satisfied with my own success, satisfied with the journey that I had been on to, find my ultimate goal, right? And I'm skipping a lot of stuff. I had become a Christian at this point, had Jesus in my heart, thought that he would use me as a sports guy, right? A Christian rugby player who was unashamed to share his faith publicly. And I went to trials, played like an absolute champion, made the first cut, got invited onto the pro team. I ended up playing for the B side, like the Marlies, the Toronto Marlies. I was in that sort of farming team. And played, I think, 3 games, and had a major car accident on a weekend with a friend going out fishing. We were driving along, and a car pulled out in front of us on a very crazy rural road, far away from hospitals, and it was a really bad accident. It almost lost my life. And not to mention, my long road to recovery meant that I lost my spot in the rugby team, and they dropped me. And my whole, my whole trajectory for my life was just taken away. Like, everything that I thought God was going to use me for was just gone. And I'll be honest, that was a dark time in my life. I went through a minor depression, really unsure what is my life going to look like if I'm not I'm not good at anything else. I'm an okay sales guy working for a company, but I thought rugby was my channel where God would use me. And it just turns out that God saw that my heart wasn't, in the right place, to serve him in that sphere, in that place. And he had a bigger and a better plan for me. And I'm so happy that I got closer to him after the accident, because it means that he can really use me at the maximum for the kingdom, right? Like, to multiply me and push back darkness. He called me into full-time ministry through a prophetic word in South Africa, which I'll be honest, initially completely terrified me, and I thought, this is crazy. But trusting him and going on this journey has brought me into the ministry of I Am Second. And again, like Tanya just shared with you, she got to pinch herself sometimes every time she introduces herself. And like, I'm working for this ministry, same thing with me. I'm absolutely living and walking and living and serving in a place that God has created me for. And there's just no better feeling than being in a place where he has completely called you to serve. We're going to go through to the video. Just the next slide, I think, is my family. Let's explain this. I'm going to have some fun with this one. That's not your family there? No. If we can go one slide over. So I apologize on my wife's behalf. She would love to have been here. No, Tanya is not my wife. We get that often. My wife is Isabel, and that's my 3 lovely kids, Asacia, Caprice, and Isaac. Isabel can't be here today, and she's going to be angry that I tell you this, but she can't be here because she's in prison. Not incarcerated, but she's serving in the ministry of I Am Second in the maximum security prison, which is a major breakthrough. Maximum security don't offer much in the forms of spiritual activities to the inmates. She has just started serving in minimum, got offered a role in medium security, and the chaplain, who is Muslim, by the way, has just seen such fruit from Isabel's ministry. The chaplain actually came and said, hey, we love what you're doing here and here. Would you like maximum as well? And my wife's just like, give God a hand, yeah. The incarcerated people of Canada, friends, are a forgotten part of society and very often overlooked, and they are in a terrible struggle for their lives even after they come out of incarceration, right? So we have to love on these people, right? Jesus came for the sinner, right? And so proud of my wife that she's got a good reason for not being with me today. Amen. She's not incarcerated. Okay, awesome. Can we move over to the next slide? I'll just give you guys a quick opportunity to see a short video about the ministry of I Am Second. If you hover over the video, I think there's a play option. Yeah, there we go.
The single greatest drama ever to unfold. A love story of epic proportions, told through the lens of individual narratives in a simple, intimate film. A white chair, a black room, an honest account of a changed life. God's grace on display with raw authenticity and avant-garde style. Superstar athletes and the beautiful people, war heroes and rock stars, rappers, call girls, scholars, misfits, and politicians. You and me. Stories from every crack and crevice of society, connecting communities and opening minds to a revolution of hope. Bold advertising creates intrigue, and curiosity leads to a compelling cinematic website. 1.5 billion media impressions in the launch market generates nearly 1 million site visits. And then it goes viral. New cities come on board and the momentum swells. 5, 10, and soon countless millions are impacted in over 200 countries worldwide. One story at a time, from a single white chair. The important questions follow. Why do these stories matter? Who is first? And what does it mean to be second? Interaction happens, connections are made, new journeys begin, and then accelerates. Conversations ignite everywhere, spreading across the city on college campuses, in high school gyms, and at local coffee shops. Films are dissected, tales are told, and people are encouraged to discover their purpose in life through Jesus. People reach out, welcoming new seconds and rallying each other to step into the community and declare a simple and profound truth. I am second. God responds, and a revolution takes root. They wear it, paint it, Facebook it, and tweet it. It shows up on stages, at the track, on the run, and at the game. And it's boundless. Expeditions are organized, and hope spreads from Romania to Nepal and Colombia to Sudan. Lives are transformed in simple obedience, and the movement becomes supercharged, breaking barriers where cultures collide in every corner of the planet through the infinite power of story. Yours, mine, theirs, and his. A new relationship occurs. Belief is formed. People live second. And the story is told again and again and again. I am second.
I love the video because it sort of stresses about the power of story. And I think that's one of the things our ministry does very well. Just a quick show of hands. Who's heard of I Am Second before we came? Oh, wow. That's amazing. A lot of you. Also, a lot of hands that haven't been raised. So what I'm going to do is share a little bit. What the video doesn't tell you is we're a ministry, a multimedia ministry. We have a website which is very famously known for creating short stories, testimonies of a life transformed through faith. So if you go to our website, iamsecond.com, we have over 300 films that are free to access in a library, covering a whole range of different topics, like things people struggle with in the world, anxiety, depression, alcohol, drugs, abuse, all kinds of crazy cool films that can really be easy to watch and take you on a roller coaster ride. Like, these films are inspired to move you emotionally. And I am living fruit that some of my family in South Africa, after realizing that Shawn's working for some ministry called I Am Second, that some of my family actually went to the website to check out this crazy place that would hire me. And these family members got saved. And they attest some of that, the reason for getting saved is that first introduction to faith through the stories of I Am Second. So I encourage you guys, check out the website, watch the videos, and share them with family members because they're so easy to share and they are impactful. They are incredible stories. All right, so we're going to get into, my message is called The Greatest Story Ever Told. Who of you guys remember in 2010 that story about those Chilean miners? Yeah? A lot of you heard about them. Just to refresh your memory, what actually happened. So in 2010, 33 Chilean miners got trapped underground. And I remember this so clearly because 2010 was the year of our South Africa was hosting the Soccer World Cup. And this story happened, and I just remember feeling devastated for all these families. 33 guys trapped underground, and they were all fine. They were alive. There was contact, communication between the bottom and the top, but there was no way to reach these guys because they were complete cave-in, and they were just facing almost certain death, right? We saw humanity come together, and we just saw this incredible effort to save these miners. 69 days, guys. They worked day and night, drilling to get down to these guys in time to save their lives, right? No food and water. Like, these guys were down there for 3 months. 69 days in total. And then, I don't know if you remember, I remember watching the Happy News report where they started pulling up one Chilean miner at a time. They sent this, that's the picture, yes. They sent this capsule down to pick up one miner at a time and bring them up to safety. And just, what a story, what a rescue story. Now, don't get confused. That's not the greatest story ever told. Because we have a different story called the gospel. And the gospel means good news, right? The gospel of Jesus Christ, my friends, is the best story ever told. It's the #1 best-selling book in the world. How many hundreds and thousands of years? It is a remarkable story of how God wrote the like the ultimate love story in the book called the Bible, a story of redemption, a story of reconciliation, a story of how a father would send his son to be the light unto the world and to be this ultimate sacrifice and the bridge between heaven and earth, right? Your soul and eternity. And that, friends, is the greatest story ever told. Humanity is trapped in sin. Jesus came to bring us out of death and back into life, okay? This is the story of the gospel, and it shouldn't be contained, it shouldn't be kept like a lamp under your bed. So we're going to cover a few points today, and we're going to talk about the bad news. No one likes starting with bad news, and I know I already did it with the Blue Jays chirp right at the beginning. I'll ask you for your forgiveness and for grace. But it's good to start with bad news because you don't want to finish with bad news. You want to start with the bad news, and this is this. So Romans 23 tells us, for we have all sinned and fall short of the glory of God, right? Well, I got to tell you, imagine you're on a journey, okay? You're rushing, you're about to catch an airplane to get to your next destination, but you miss that flight by 1 minute. Okay, I've been there. I've missed a flight by 1 minute. And it doesn't matter if it's 1 minute or 10 minutes. You've missed the flight and you're not going where you need to go. And I just want to share with you, whether you have big sins or small sins, sin is sin, and it equals the same outcome. You miss the mark. You miss God's perfect mark for you, and the destination is changed. Okay, instead of eternity, you're looking at complete eternal separation from God. This is the bad news. And Romans 6:23 also tells us the wages of sin is death and separation, right? Sin separates us from God, spiritually now and eternally, if it's not forgiven. I went on a journey early in my life, figuring this out the hard way, okay? I figured out that, okay, I have all this potential Okay, like I was sharing with you as a professional sports rugby player, I have all this potential, and I'm going to put myself first. I'm going to go after this. I'm going to be the person in charge of my own happiness, my own joy, my own destination. I was so lost, guys. I was so wrong and so far from God. And He used instrumental people in my life, okay, that were able to shake me and wake me up and share the purpose of my life was not to be a rugby player. The purpose of my life was to get close enough to God and to identify and realize the destination He has for me and the purpose that He had for me in my life, right? And I'm just so grateful that we serve a God that doesn't just give up on us, right? I go back and think about how many mistakes I made, how many times I missed the mark, how many times I got trapped in cycles of sin, through family generational curses that I just couldn't break. And I felt like I am in control. I can beat this. And I just never did. I always fell short of the mark. And I don't want that for any of my friends, for anyone who we have an opportunity to share with. I want to share with you, if you are on that journey trying to do things in your own strength, I don't care who you are, you're going to fall short of his mark, right? You're not going to be able to do it. We have point number 2, which is the good news, though. And the good news equals God's rescue plan, okay? John 3:16 shares with us, for God so loved, it's the most tattooed Christian verse. John 3:16 is, for God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, right? We've heard that verse. This is the story. This is the good news. Imagine you have a high-profile case, maybe an assassination, and maybe this guy is caught very quickly after committing this horrendous crime, this terrible sin. Imagine this guy gets called into the court finally and brought to justice. And then imagine the judge hearing an almost, 100% guilty verdict. The judge gets off his chair, comes down to the level of this person who committed the crime, and then just dismisses it and takes on the penalty of that crime himself. Oh, friends, this is what it meant when Jesus came down. He came down from heaven to our level, and He paid the fine for our sin. It's so personal. It's so... when I truly, for the first time in my life, embraced and understood that, all the shame, all the guilt and the embarrassment of my actions growing up, really for the first time disappeared. And I'm not going to lie, I carried a lot of those things. Still, I carry and walk with some things that I'm still trying to fully submit and give to God. Like difficult stuff. Forgiveness, one of the first things that always comes to my mind. How do you forgive a stepdad who committed so much trauma to you and your siblings? And then you figure out, okay, I've got to do this because God tells me, everyone, we cannot carry hatred in our hearts. We cannot carry anger and bitterness in our hearts. It's a poison that will keep us down. But how do you forgive a guy, who repeatedly continues to, inflict hurt and pain on you and your siblings and your family? Like, only God can take that away from you. And it's a journey, right? 1 Peter tells me He Himself bore our sins in His body on that tree. I love watching Jesus' stories. I love getting fully immersed in the experience that Jesus had here on earth. I mean, this incredible man that people are still talking about 2,000 years after his death marked the world like no one else has ever marked this world before. And those 3 years of ministry, oh man, what what an impact he had. And when he actually allowed himself, to be hung on that tree, we finally defeated sin, right? And we had the bridge that I spoke about earlier to connect us back to God. And Romans 5 verse 8 says, God demonstrates his love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. And that's the thing I think a lot of my friends and family struggle with, right? Like, it's so funny. My life is such a big transformation. If you knew the old Shawn, you'd be shocked that I'm up here and I'm speaking to people in a church. In fact, a lot of my friends in South Africa, the one friend reached out to me and he asked on a DM, he's like, hey, is this really Shawn Jones? And I laughed, and I was like, of course it is, bro. It's me, Jonesy. And then he asked me to confirm, if this really is Shawn Jones, tell me what your nickname was, because he was not convinced. And I don't want to share that in church. It was a horrible name. But it was something animal, okay? Because I was quite the animal at parties. I was the life of the party. I was the biggest voice in the room. I was a character full of life, but just not channeled in the right place. God had a bigger and a better plan for me. And instead of doing party tricks at weddings and bachelor parties, God had a bigger, better plan for me. There's this meme on the internet that I stumbled on one day. It was a picture of a little girl and Jesus. Jesus was on his haunches and with his one hand reached out, asking the little girl for her teddy bear, her most prized possession. And she didn't want to give it up, but behind in the other hand, he has a bigger, more beautiful teddy bear. And I felt like that spoke to me so much when I saw that meme for the first time, because that's what God had for me. He had a bigger and a better plan for me, better than any of my small thinking, better than, a career as a sports Christian. Like, he's just got such a bigger, better plan. Like, I speak to thousands of people about Jesus Christ through the videos that we create, but also through opportunities to come to churches and opportunities at major conferences, Christian conference. We just came back from Change Conference. Oh my word, 1,000 kids on fire for Jesus, praising him. And these kids, out of the 1,000 kids, 300 of them were actually non-believing Christians that got pulled along to this conference. And they had over 300 salvations at Change Conference. Amen. Isn't that worth celebrating? Amen. Music festivals. I pinch myself still. Like, we go every year. We have a partnership with Kingdom Bound. Who over here has heard of Kingdom Bound? A few of you? Okay, for you who don't know what Kingdom Bound is, guys, you got to come and join us. Next year, Kingdom Bound 2026 is going to be off the hook. Kingdom Bound is a music festival for the Christian audience. It's like, how do I explain it? Like the Woodstock of Christian music. Woodstock is that big rock concert they have every year where thousands and thousands of people come. This is the Christian version. Almost 40,000 people come to a theme park at Darien Lake, Six Flags Darien Lake in Rochester, New York, and tons of Canadians. So that's why I'm Second Canada. We're in the US once a year to do a festival because it's mostly Canadians. Well, it's a good mix, probably 50-50. But we go up to this music festival once a year, and we have an incredible opportunity to be a major sponsor. So we've actually got one of the musical stages branded as the I Am Second stage, and we partner with up-and-coming rap artists, Christian rap artists. And then we have our tables all over the park, and a lot of people don't know this, but the people that come to the theme park are not only people for the festival, it's the public. It's open to the public. And the organizers give us free reign to evangelize in the park. So we see thousands of people coming and hearing about Jesus, hearing about I Am Second, taking our workshops, getting involved, getting small, easy, reproducible tools that we share with them on how to share their faith, right? How to share your story, but also how to share God's story. And so that's some of the things we're very excited about today. We want to plant little seeds here and talk to you guys about future opportunities where we come back and we offer some trainings, getting you guys inspired, getting you guys equipped with a story like, you saw in that video, right? I believe that God has a story for every single one of us. We all have a testimony. And it might not be a crazy testimony like mine. It might be something a little more down to earth. It might be something that's everyone is called to a ministry, and your ministry is your testimony. If you are a cancer survivor, okay, then I'm happy to tell you your ministry is speaking to people who are struggling and battling cancer. If you've overcome abuse and parents and a lifestyle like I had, then that's a part of my ministry. That's the people that I minister to. It's people that I can relate to, and I can, be an inspiration to, and I can share how God took me through this journey. So we want to inspire people and equip them with tools on how to share your story, and always leading to the opportunity to share the gospel. And so that brings me to my point number 3. If you are saved, how do I share the gospel? I love the church. The church is an incredible place where people come and be shepherded. They are shepherded and looked after spiritually, by a pastor who is like the shepherd. He's looking after his sheep. It's incredible. But I feel like there is such a huge opportunity to take sheep that are being well cared for and looked after, and then equipping them, man. Let's equip these sheep with bazookas, rocket launchers, things that we can blow the enemy apart with, right? Things like your testimony, things like the 3 circles to share the gospel, right? A small sticker with 3 circles used to easily depict the story of the gospel in 2 to 3 minutes. These are powerful tools, okay, that are there to equip believers, with power. Let's look at the word, Romans 10 verse 14. How can they believe in the one whom they have not? How can they believe in the one whom they have not heard? Right, guys. I was a Christian for many years before I ever shared the gospel with anyone. I felt like I made the team by the skin of my teeth. Right, like I used to sit in the back row keeping a seat warm, and hoping no one noticed me, because I was still carrying. Although I received Jesus Christ, I felt like I'd do the kingdom more harm than good if anyone recognized, oh my word, the animal is in church? What the heck is that guy doing there? And for many years, I walked this journey of trying to go under the radar and not get noticed. But man, I tell you, when we really get into His Word and believe what God's written, you'll come to learn that they overcome the world by the power of their testimony, right? In Revelations 12:11. The power that we have to impact our sphere of influence, our oikos, our people group, our family, our friends, strangers, guys on the street. The power it's all the Lord's strength, right? But He equips us with opportunities like this to make an impact for His kingdom, to push back darkness. Okay. A testimony. Here's a cool statement that I love. A testimony makes the invisible power of the cross visible and personal. All right? Because you've walked that journey and you've been through what you've been through, and God's equipped you to minister to the person you're speaking with, because that is your testimony. That's your strength. The other thing, so how do we share the gospel? Through the word, but also through deed. Now, I give a lot of credit to God for a lot of my family and friends coming to Christ, because they witnessed a change in me so radical that it caused some of my friends to DM me and ask if this really Shawn Jones. So what happened? People saw a change in me. Now, I'm living on a different continent, right? I moved here in 2013 with my family, and a lot of that radical change happened about 10 years ago, when I really stepped into my calling and lived a life publicly, unashamed, on social media, still connected with my old life, right? And these people saw my deeds. Now, deeds are not the thing that is going to get us into heaven, but they matter. They really do matter. When you come to Jesus Christ and give your heart to the Lord, man, it's the greatest thing ever. Okay? God changes your heart. He gives you a new heart, a heart that desires, to do different deeds. Like, I don't want to go and party and drink and chase girls on the weekend anymore. My heart, my new heart, has a desire for something bigger and something better. Matthew 5, verse 16 tells us this: let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Man, a very cool story. Saint Francis, the famous Saint Francis, reportedly said, preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words. What's he talking about? Preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words. He's talking about living your life, letting your light shine. Let your light be visible to the people around you. Let them want what you have. That's what happened with me. And man, if you guys come to the training, I share a story, a testimony of how a lot of my family came to Christ, but I'm going to draw you in and hopefully get you intrigued enough to want to hear that story. It's all about mission, guys. It's all about finding your place in the world, where God's going to maximize your ability to push back the darkness. And when you discover what God created you, really discover what you were made for on this earth, man, the devil wakes up every morning and upset that this guy woke up. Shawn, oh my word, Shawn got up, he's out of bed. That's not a good day for us. It's because I'm fully stepping into the calling that God has for my life, and that equals bad news for darkness, right? We are sharing the light at every opportunity God gives us, and there is incredible opportunity if you be willing to be a conduit for God to work through you. All right, so guys, if nothing else, after today, after hearing this message, just be open. Be open to learning something new. Be open to taking your faith and setting it on fire. And I know evangelism, the word is scary. People are like, oh man, I'm not an evangelist. I don't have the gift of evangelism. I hear that so often. I used to say that for so many years. The gift of evangelism, everyone has it, okay? We are called as Christians, okay, to share God's word. It is a part of our identity, okay? Second Corinthians, we see this. And this is on living the mission, right? So Second Corinthians tells us, we therefore are Christ's ambassadors, as though God was making his appeal through us. Some versions of the Bible actually use the word plead, as though God was pleading through us. Guys, oh man. The gift of evangelism is not a gift only for your pastor or for the missionaries like us. It's for parents, it's for teachers, it's for students, it's for plumbers, it's for firefighters. Guys, it's for every single person in this room. Okay? This is not for the elite in the Christian realm. If we start seeing more laborers join the harvest, what's going to happen? We are going to see, we're going to see the return of Jesus Christ, because there's going to be no place left that hasn't heard the gospel. And that's what I'm living for, man. We feel like achieving that goal is possible in our lifetime. That's how serious E3 and I Am Second is about this move of God that we're seeing. Some people use the term Canada is a post-Christian country. I don't buy that. I know it's hard soil. Trust me, I come from a country where it's difficult, but nowhere near as hard to share the gospel in Canada as it is in South Africa. It's hard soil, but it's not post-Christian. It's pre-revival. And we have to believe that as Christians. Because if we don't believe it, how are we going to convince anyone else? Let's go back to the story for a second, okay? I want you to picture being there as these miners are coming up. Can you imagine the first miner that they rescue? What a celebration. What an absolute miracle that they've achieved. Like, they actually did it. They reached all the miners. The 33, like, no hope given. These 33 men, families, 33 different families. They reached the pinnacle point to save these guys, and they bring the first guy up. Can you imagine if the first guy coming up embraces the rescuers and thanks them and hugs them and kisses them and says, "Oh man, thank you for saving me. But don't worry about the rest. I'm good. I'm good." What a ridiculous story, right? But that's what we do when we embrace the gift God's given us and we don't share it with anyone else. Friends, I want you to experience the life-changing experience that I experienced, because genuinely I've tasted the life of, very briefly, the life of a professional athlete. I played for a year professional basketball as well in Dubai, which is another testimony. I've got the taste of the high life, if you want to call it that. And there's nothing that this world can offer you that competes with walking in your calling. And your calling, I hate to tell you if you didn't know this, includes sharing God's story. Please be inspired to do something and be serious about your faith. Talk to Tanya and myself. We'll be around afterwards. We'd love to go deeper with anyone who wants to be equipped with these tools. Okay? So let's just close up here. I just want to go through the points again, right? Point number 1, we are all sinners. We're in need of rescue. It's important to identify that and to be aware of that, not only for yourself, but for your friends, for your sphere of influence, for the people that you have an easy connection with, right? So we're all sinners in need of a rescue, okay? Jesus is God's rescue plan, point number 2. And point number 3, we are saved by repentance, belief, and receiving Him. That is the free gift, right? That I talked about in my message. And number 4, once we're saved, we've got to do something with that, right? We've got to share the gospel in word and deed. Guys, it's that simple. It's not rocket science. But as simple as it is, it can be scary. But we are here to make it not scary. I promise you, the first time, this is a very short testimony, I'm closing, sorry, a little bit over here, but it's important. I want to share the story where the first time I walked into an opportunity with E3 I Am Second, I went to a training, a 4-day intensive training, because this friend Jeremy saw something in me that I couldn't believe. I came back from the training, I felt like God spoke directly to my heart. I was inspired, but I was nervous because I'd never done evangelism before. And Jeremy said to me, "Shawn, I need help at the men's conference at Cornelia," which is now called Base. We were one of the breakout rooms at a men's conference teaching people evangelism. And Jeremy said to me, "Oh my word, we had so many people sign up. I don't have enough leaders. Like, you have to come and help me." I'm like, "Oh, I'll help you, no problem." Like, I only just received the training a few days ago, so I haven't practiced any of the stuff I've been taught. Like, I've never actually been out on the street with your team to practice these tools, but I'll come and help you, like whatever you need. Carry boxes, hand out water bottles. Jeremy says to me, "No, I need you to lead a training. I need you to take 6 men and teach them everything you learned 4 days ago about sharing the gospel." And I said, "Jeremy, are you crazy? Have you been smoking or drinking something? Like, how can I teach something I've never actually practiced?" He's like, "Shawn, I need you right now. I have no one else." I'm like, "Well, Lord, this is of you. This is in your strength." I trained these 6 men. I thought I did a terrible job. And then I had to take them out into the harvest and model the things I just taught them. I had to model this for these guys. I was terrified. I parked at a Walmart parking lot. I got out, these 6 men got out of their cars. They're all standing in a group watching me model how to do this, to share the 3 circles. I'm standing there praying like a crazy person. Lord, help me. Lord, help me. Lord, help me. This car pulls up. 2 young Asian students get out of the car, university-age students. And I'm standing right there by the door. They get out. They look up at me, terrified. Hey, did we do something wrong? I said, no. I said, has anyone ever shared the gospel with you? They both looked at me, still terrified, and looked at each other. They looked at me. No, what's that? And I went through the process of sharing the 3 circles with them, guys, the gospel. I got halfway through and I started seeing, now you're going to know this is a miracle because my Asian brothers love them, but they don't easily show emotion. And halfway through sharing the gospel, I saw the one kid was starting to tear up. And I got to the end of the story, and the conclusion ends with a question. Where do you see yourself? Are you walking in God's perfect design for your life in relationship with your Father in heaven? Or are you stuck here in brokenness? 2 boys looked at each other, they looked at me, and they said, Mr. Shawn, we are stuck in brokenness. It changed my life. I couldn't believe the very first time I ever shared the gospel, 2 young students told me they were stuck in brokenness. And I offered them, I said, you don't have to stay here, you know that, right? You can come over to God's design for your life and be in relationship with Him. And again, I'm thinking I'm still doubting, this is not going to work. But they looked at each other and they looked at me and they said, yes, we want to do it. And I led them to Jesus Christ that day in a Walmart parking lot. Okay, they both gave their lives to the Lord. And I connected with them with information to follow up and disciple them. But guys, that wouldn't have happened if I stayed stuck in my fear, right? So take encouragement from that testimony. We'd love to speak to you guys more. All right? Thank you so much again, Pastor Steve, for having us. What a beautiful time we had.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Before